Picture this: a powerful king, seated on the throne of Israel, adorned in royal robes and wearing a golden crown. But here's the twist: he wasn't really the one in charge. This is the story of Ahab, perhaps the most notorious puppet king in biblical history. You might think being a king means having all the power, making your own decisions, leading your people with strength and wisdom. But Ahab, he flipped the script entirely. Here was a man who had it all: the crown, the kingdom, the authority. Yet he allowed himself to become nothing more than a marionette, with his strings being pulled by his infamous wife, Jezebel. Now, let me tell you what made Ahab's reign so tragically fascinating. Instead of protecting Israel's sacred traditions and their worship of the one true God, he did something that would forever stain his legacy. He introduced idol worship, specifically the worship of Baal, into Israel. Imagine that: a king chosen to shepherd God's people, actively leading them away from their faith. But why would a king do this? Well, that's where the story gets even more interesting. You see, Ahab wasn't just weak-willed. He was desperately in love with Jezebel, a foreign princess who brought her pagan beliefs with her. And rather than standing firm in his convictions, rather than being the leader his people needed, he chose to please his wife instead of his God. Think about it. This wasn't just some minor political decision. This was a complete upheaval of Israel's spiritual foundation. Under Ahab's reign, temples to false gods sprouted up across the land. The very identity of Israel, built on their unique relationship with God, began to crumble. It's a cautionary tale that still resonates today, because sometimes the most dangerous decisions aren't made by those who actively seek to do harm, but by those who simply lack the courage to stand up for what's right. Ahab had all the power of a king, but none of the strength of character to use it wisely. In the end, Ahab's story reminds us that true leadership isn't about wearing a crown or sitting on a throne. It's about having the backbone to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's difficult, even when those closest to you are pulling you in the opposite direction. Sometimes, the hardest part of being in charge is simply being strong enough to actually be in charge.